Hello, book people. I want to talk to you today about Jonathan Hickman's epic run on Fantastic Four. Now, wait, I was not a Fantastic Four fan before reading this, but I want to give me a couple minutes to maybe sell you on it because I think this is worth reading, and I want to talk to you a little bit about why that is. So before that, though, a little background. Jonathan Hickman is a writer. He's done a lot of indie comics. His Essex County books, which is like about hockey in rural Canada, kind of, are beautiful. He's done a lot of great stuff. Anyway, he came on board Fantastic Four with issue number 570, and he stayed on board it till Fantastic Four 611. He also wrote 23 issues of kind of a companion comic called FF, which does not stand for the Fantastic Four. I will not tell you what that stands for. You'll have to read it and find out once you get into the run. But overall, he was on this comic for 64 issues, so a nice, healthy, chunky run that you can really sink your teeth into. And what's amazing to me about this run that I'll get into in a minute is really that it tells one big story. I don't know if I've ever seen it done quite this well for this long in one stretch of superhero comics because, big Marvel and DC superhero comics are always being interrupted by events and different stuff that are happening in the world that are disrupting, the individual books. This book does an amazing job of just kind of almost ignoring what's going on in the rest of the Marvel universe, although it does touch it a couple times, and just really sticking to its one story and telling that. So it had multiple artists throughout, so I won't list all those. My favorite is Steve Epting. He's probably my favorite who worked with Jonathan Hickman on this. So I want to tell you a little bit about the first issue to kind of sell you on it. So the first issue, the Fantastic Four is fighting a villain called the Wizard. They end up taking him down. When they take him down, he has a little talk with Reed Richards, Mr. Fantastic, who, if you don't know, is like the smartest man in the Marvel Universe. He's just a scientific genius. Has a little talk and says, look, you've seen the math. You know as well as I do. The universe is ending. The world is going to be destroying itself. Why aren't you doing anything about it, basically? Turns out this wizard guy has some clones of himself that are going around doing stuff, and also some androids of himself that are going around doing things. So you got that whole thing. Then there's also, that's interspersed with a bunch of scenes of the Fantastic Four as a family. You've got a flashback to Reed Richards and his father. You've got Reed Richards tucking his two kids into bed. And at this point, if you haven't been, aren't too up on the Marvel Universe, Invisible Woman and Reed Richards, Mr. Fantastic, are married and have two lovely children that play a huge part in this series. So you've got scenes of him tucking him into bed, scenes of the whole family hanging out, scenes of Thing and Human Torch palling around being goofy buddies. And then kind of at the end, Reed Richards goes into this little room that's just covered with writing, and we get the idea that he's been working on this room a lot over the years, and basically he's written down 100 ideas that he would like to try and solve throughout his lifetime. And he's come to this realization that he cannot solve all 100 of these ideas. So his last 100th question is, who can help me solve these? So he's created this machine. You don't know where the machine goes or what's going on. The door opens, and inside of this machine is a giant chamber full of Reed Richards from alternate dimensions, parallel worlds Reed Richards. And they say, come join the council of Reed Richards. And it kind of ends with that idea that the only person who can help him kind of is himself, and the only person smart enough to help him solve these problems is him from multiple different dimensions. And that's where the first issue ends. And that might sound whatever, but it's amazing once you read the whole 64 issues, the way everything is just set up in that. The big theme of this story, and what really drew me in, and what I want to kind of pass on to you here to look for in this if you do read it, is I did a video a while back on The Sculptor by Scott McCloud, and I really liked that because one of the themes was this idea of being an artist. How much do you devote to your art, and how much can you devote to personal life, kind of a thing. This takes a similar approach, but whereas The Sculptor was more kind of geared towards that stage of life, maybe kind of starting out in the adult world, trying to figure out what life's going to be, this is more geared towards once you have that family, when you're a little bit older, you have children, you have a spouse, whatever. More the stage of life that I'm at. And it asks a similar question, really, which is like with Reed Richards. He wants to know, he has the power to possibly solve all these amazing things about all these problems in the world. He believes he could, possibly solve world hunger. He could create all these scientific discoveries that could just move science forward. And he's really struggling with how much does he focus on that versus how much does he focus on his family. And really, that's the underlying question of everything. It's like, how much of this family how much do you put into your family, basically? And the way Jonathan Hickman answers that question through the 64 issues is so beautiful. In the last issue, it was very emotional to me, the way that he answers it, and it was very, very beautiful. There's so many other great little things in this story. Like one of the little subplots is that the Human Torch it drives him crazy that his little nephew Franklin, his favorite superhero is Spider-Man, and he really wants to meet Spider-Man and hang out with Spider-Man and stuff like that, and it drives the Human Torch crazy. But while that's a funny thing that is played for laughs towards the beginning of the run, it pays off in a very emotional way later in the run. It's got that thing that a lot of great heart has, where it plays for comedy, but then takes that same thing it played for comedy and plays it for great emotional effect later on. So Jonathan Hickman's run of Fantastic Four, if you haven't read Fantastic Four before, if you have had no interest in them, pretty much like I didn't have very much interest in them, I highly recommend checking it out. It is worth your time. It's available in multiple editions. There's an omnibus edition, there's trade paperbacks, you can read it on Marvel Unlimited, whatever you want to do. But anyway, that's my pitch for why you might want to check out Fantastic Four. I hope if you do check it out, you let me know what you thought. I'll talk to you next time. Bye.